I think the only thing that limits your success is your mindset. I think everything that goes on in life happens for a reason. If you choose to see it that way, if you want to sit there and be a victim and go, woe is me, all the bad shit happens to me, I'm never going to be successful, I might as well go eat worms, then that's the way it's going to be. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. Welcome to you again if you're watching this from YouTube. Great to have you with us. I really want to thank everyone that does take a listen and spend some time with me as I just chat about various subjects from the construction sector. I really do appreciate your attention and really hope that you're getting something out of listening to me bang on about construction subjects. So, I really do appreciate that. Couldn't do it without you. Of course, as usual, like and subscribe and share it with folks that you might know that need the kind of information that we're sharing here. We absolutely always want to bring value. And, in this day and age, it's sort of, as I chat with, different people, different stakeholders within the industry, it becomes very apparent that the game of, general contracting, and I'm assuming that I'm going to be talking to mostly general contractors. I'm assuming that, that you're all feeling the pinch and the struggle and the strife and all that sort of stuff too, but hopefully you're having some wins as well. So to that end, we want to try and inject something into your day that is going to, help you get through whatever it is you're going through, or certainly help you improve or get more momentum maybe than you've already got, or maybe get you out of the blocks and help you get moving. So look, today I'm going to quickly chat with you on a couple of subjects, and everything that I talk about really comes from my personal involvement, with several builders and building companies within the Smith & Sons group. But just to kick off, I just had a conversation. One of our guys had a range hood dropped off here, and I got chatting to the appliance rep, and really interesting to chat with him about a couple of the challenges that we're facing. And obviously, one of those is recruitment, but the other one that we have a massive amount of drama with, and obviously, I would say that everyone would be nodding their head, is the supply chain issues. Now, we've got, obviously I've got business partners in Australia and who head up, Smith & Sons Australia and New Zealand, and of course they get the same story. So we compare notes often, and the thing is, it's a global challenge. So, as I contemplated that conversation that I had with the appliance supplier or rep this morning, and also considered some of the conversations I've had with various guys within our group, I just thought, when it all boiled down to it, it's sort of like what I want to chat about today was things that really influence, because of the challenges that we face, how do we go about mitigating? And really it comes down to two things. It comes down to management and communication. And so, I think that we are in a situation where if we are, let's call it lazy operators, for want of a better term. If we're not, if we're not as organized as what we should be, if we're not on the front foot and not anticipating some blind sides, then you can really get get a blind side from clients, particularly, and that's where a lot of this conversation started with me this week, as I began to sort of think about what I'm going to share on the show today. So look, I think when I talk, and you know what, just before I get started, hey, check out our TikTok. I know you might not be into TikTok, and respect if you're not, but that's a place where we have a bit of fun, and we're just sort of getting to know TikTok. And so check out the Business for Builders TikTok. We might have a bit of a link in the bio to our TikTok page, and it's a place where we're sort of not really serious, about what we're doing there. We're just trying to figure things out. But I do a lot of 15-second videos, tips for general contractors, and it makes for some interesting conversation and engagement with our audience there. But I think management and communications, guys and gals, that is probably a big part, which you need to probably focus on and make sure that you are organized both in your management and your communications. I think that as days goes by, guys and gals that still use Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and things like that, really what you're doing is you're maintaining, you're maintaining a self-inflicted disadvantage. And if you continue to do that, I think what's going to happen is the marketplace is just going to beat the shit out of you, and you're not going to go the distance, and you're going to get disillusioned. because systems is obviously what supports a business operation, and good humans run some good systems. So that being the case, to have a good business, which is run by good systems, and systems are run by good people, this is where management and communication really kick in. And so, I think management is just a process or a way that you manage process. And I think, everything from human resource management, finance management, obviously how you manage the different trades and how you negotiate deals with those guys, how you manage your vendors, how you negotiate deals with those guys as well, how you do own time management. That's another facet. And so, there's all of these things that we go through life just doing, and we don't pay any attention to actually having our management systems by design, not just by default. And I talk about having a building company whereby it's you own or run a company by default instead of by design. Well, the same goes for your management systems. I think there's what I know more now than ever before, and I've always been, what I like to learn, and I enjoy autonomy. And part of that is to have a good relationship with pain, but it's also have a desire to learn. I think that, you need to educate yourself a lot around, what management systems are going to be needed in your business. So a lot of that is time takes, so you've got to take the time to analyze your current situations to figure out, okay, where are the black spots? Where are the holes in my management systems? And so as I just pointed out, when we talk about management, we're not just talking about human resource management or financial management or time management or construction management or project management. We're talking about all of those things being working simultaneously. And that is where I think our mental space as general contractors really comes under a lot of pressure. And I haven't even got to communication yet. So, I think when we talk about, let's start at the top, human resource management, I think that your leadership style, and we've talked about leadership on this show before, that it's a massive contributing factor to your success. You have to be an attractive human being. And I'm not talking about put lipstick on. I'm talking about at your core, you're somebody that somebody wants to hang around. And so this is where I think a lot of the time dictatorial type leaders, they use passive aggressive tactics. They don't really reward their staff for making an effort. They don't believe that the staff can actually, or their team members or talent members are actually, there to really give their best and to really perform at the highest level and support the business owner. They are probably maybe too paranoid. Maybe they don't have a level of trust in their staff or their team or talent members that they should. And so what happens is that develops a culture. So your ability to be the leader and to manage human resource actually, really has either a negative or a positive effect, on the type of culture that you've got in your business. And so you need to be aware of that. So that's just human resource management, just, my 2 bobs worth, we would say, about, what I think it takes to either, be a good leader or to not be a good leader. And so, I think that we need to be, I think what undermines or underpins all this probably more so is our ability to be self-aware. And that is to be able to look in the mirror and go, okay, you're doing not a bad job. You've got some things you need to make sure that you improve on. But there's a lot of times where I know, guys, particularly in the business of construction, where unfortunately they think there's nothing wrong with them, and they march on at the highest level with ego out of control with no humility, and then wonder why, after 2 or 3 years, shit starts to fall apart. And it's through lack of self-awareness. And so, I think as much as I absolutely believe in, every one of us needs a healthy ego to operate at a high level, I think there's got to be humility at equal measures to make sure that leadership capacity doesn't get too out. It's what I'm trying to work out. What I'm trying to talk about is getting a balance. Like I said, ego and humility in good balance is a good thing. It really does help. It's like, fire can keep you warm, but can burn your friggin' house down. So, I think you've got to have all of that assessment process in your mind on the fly, not just like once a year, constantly looking at how you're doing, and, look at some of the folks around you and look at how they're reacting, and maybe there's some, changes that you've got to make. So, because I just don't believe that if there's too much going on in your business that's negative, that you can't just keep passing the buck and blaming. It's got to be up to you to sort of analyze the situation realistically and understand that possibly that you're doing something as the leader that is unattractive in the human resource that you have under you, or that you're in charge of, or that are in your charge are not wanting to stick around for whatever reason. So that's just in human resource management. Finance management, I think that if you're not looking at your P&Ls once a month and you are not really analyzing and assessing that data every quarter, then that is an absolute, that's a problem. You don't know what speed your business is doing. We talk about, we work out how much markup that we've got to apply off the back of, what our fixed expenses are. And in some cases, you actually can't apply enough markup percentage to the cost of goods sold because your overheads are too damn high. And in some cases, you might have a really good business that's thriving. You actually need to spend some money, on human resource or equipment or something because the lifestyle that you have is non-existent or it's not good because you are so, the business is so dependent on your input that you don't actually get an opportunity to actually go enjoy the fruits of your labor. So it works both ways. And, I think that, no different to you driving your car down the road and, understanding when it's due for a service or, what speed you're going, all those sorts of things. We need to have a dashboard within our business. So again, we get a lot of that from our software. We get a lot of that feedback from what we input into said software, in the way of, especially purchase orders for back costing and cost engineering. So again, it's not like, well, Max, if I just do purchase orders, does that make it all okay? And it's like there's so, between the management, of your finances and also your ability to sell, knowing your numbers, applying the right markups, knowing when the right time is to I guess, expand the business. And there's always a time where there's expansion, but there's also consolidation. And you've got to understand where you're up to. And I think a lot of the time the business speaks to you about that. And so, financial management is something that it's a moving target. Absolutely. And so, we're talking about business development right here. And, I guess if you've been around the business 5, 10, 15, 20 years and you're really not kicking the goals that you thought you should have been, then I guarantee there is a deficiency that's in your system or that's in your business right now that is hamstringing your ability to develop the business. And a lot of the time I say that we bottleneck our own business. And so the first place I'd look is in the mirror. I would question, if you come to me and said, hey, Max, this is the state of my business. I've been in it 15 years and I'm doing no better. It's been up and down and up and down. I go forward and then I go backwards. I would really start with, what your understanding of business is. And, on our last episode, I think we had one of our newest franchised operators and he's done a bachelor's or something in business or a diploma or something like that. And, it's interesting that him and I, when we sat in training, we really did double down. And only, 2 days ago did I sit with him on the phone and we talked about some of his forecasting that he was doing in creating a budget for the rest of the year because we're in July right now. And so we did a budget for, he worked on a budget. I gave him the tools. He worked on a budget for the remainder of the year. And then, of course, we started to look at next year as well, just to create a bit of a budget and a bit of an understanding of, what his outgoings are currently versus what he thinks he might be able to pull together in sales. And then we looked at, what inquiry level that he's going to need to be able to hit those targets. And so, this is the thing. There's this very much on your estimating process. You're doing it already. You're creating a budget and estimate for the project. And it's only once we go to construction and we look at our actual spends where you can now compare that. You can compare the data. You can compare your estimated budget versus your actual spend, and you can see, whether or not you're making money or whether you're losing money or whether you're breaking even, and sort of preserving the profit that's built into the job. So financial management is very hands-on. Even throughout construction, I say to guys, there's 3 ways you can make money. You make money by applying a markup. You make money by cutting your expenses. And you also make money by, reducing the budgeted cost of goods sold. In other words, if you allow $10,000 worth of lumber and you only spend $8,000, that $2,000 gets automatically attributed to gross profit. Well done. Conversely, if you spent $12,000, you're in bad shape. So they're the 3 ways that you can make money, in a building company that are ones I can think of straight away. I'm not sure there's many more of those, but that's what I'm getting at is that is a moving target. Financial management is not something that you just set and forget. The minute that, of course, all of us go, well, sales cures everything, which I understand that principle essentially from a 40,000 foot situation is right. You can't build a business without sales. However, if you're not, selling with enough markup, or you're selling and your estimating has got some deficiencies in it. No matter what markup you put in, you're still short of material or short of labor. You're going to find yourself in big trouble. And so, it's such a moving target. And we start breaking these pillars down, and all of a sudden, if we run through it top to toe, you would sort of start to realize it's like, yeah, there's, I'm obligated to wear so many hats. And, one of the TikToks we put out, I can't remember what it was about, but it was very much, talking about wearing all the hats. And, a lot of our audience there was just saying, look, it's impossible. You need so much money to run a business, and they're not wrong. There is that transition and that growth period where, you've to move from a one-man band to, say, having a staff of 3 with, maybe 6 or 8 jobs on the go, that becomes a massive challenge to you. And this is why management, the principle of management and around management really has to be nailed down and distilled in your mind, that management cannot be done by you across all of those areas if you're going to run a $2 million business. This is where you need to have humans on your team to help you do that. And so, but again, then if you I've heard some guys just say to me they're general contractors and they're like, Max, I just hate people. I get where they're coming from, but you can never grow a business. It's just impossible. You need people to help you build it if you want to build it big. If you want to stick around $250,000 per year in sales and run a one-man band, mazel tov, do that. This is the thing, know your limitations. I think when we talk about improving all these systems, and, we haven't even touched on communication yet, what I'll come back to is that whether it's management or whether it's communication, it all comes down to your education and your capacity. So everything I'm banging on about, in the areas of management, everything I'm going to bang on about communication, you as an individual need to educate yourself around the processes as it relates to management and communication, and learn from your experiences. And then you've also got to understand what your capacity is. No point in saying that you want to build a $2-3 million business and you don't like dealing with humans, because you can't have one without the other. You've got to do both. You've got to, I guess at some level enjoy dealing with customers and staff and subcontractors, and the challenges that go along with it are insurmountable. It's massive. And I think the longer I'm in this game, the more realistic I am up front. And, when we chatted with a gentleman last night, I didn't get out of the office till about 8 o'clock, and we were chatting with him about, a franchise, and he looks like he's going to get on board pretty quickly with us. And, I just said to him up front, I said, man, this is a tough game. When you get it right, it's fantastic. But I tell you, if it hits you and you're not ready for it, it's like a freight train. And it all comes down to management and communication and your ability to educate and your capacity. And I can't tell you what your capacity is. Your capacity is your capacity. Now, can your capacity enlarge? Absolutely. Does your capacity enlarge in 5 minutes? No, it does not. Capacity enlarges through experience and learning, and then trying again. I think that, too many people have this fear of failure. And I was only talking to this rep this morning, from this appliance supplier. And I said, the further I go into this business, and particularly having CEO on the business card, which is hilarious, it's just the further I go, the more mistakes I make, and the more I realize how those mistakes are actually fundamental to my ongoing and my future successes. Because if it doesn't kill you, it makes you sharper. There's no question about it. Resistance builds muscle mass. I've said it before. You don't by curling Kleenex tissues, you're not going to build biceps. So you've got to actually enjoy the pain and embrace the challenge and really accept that making mistakes is part of the deal. What you want to try and do is minimize the amount of mistakes that you make, and certainly minimize the impact or the intensity that the business has on you whilst you navigate your way through that. But I think if you do something foolish and you end up on the rocks and something happens, let's say you can recover from that, but it sets you back 2 years. I just think the maturity that you gain through all that, if you view it as it's not what I'm going through, it's where I'm going to. It's not what happens to me, it's what happens for me. And you look at those situations in a positive light, immediately you're telling yourself that this is part of the deal. It is part of the process. I think the only thing that limits your success is your mindset. I think everything that goes on in life happens for a reason. If you choose to see it that way, if you want to sit there and be a victim and go, woe is me, all the bad shit happens to me, I'm never going to be successful, I might as well go eat worms, then that's the way it's going to be. You're never, ever going to pull yourself out of that, what I'd call a death spiral. You're done. You should get out of construction right now and go and get a job at Home Depot, packing shelves or whatever, right? I think this game of entrepreneurship gets fluffed up too much. It's freaking brutal. Like the amount of shit you got to sleep with and that you wake up to every morning and the stuff that you got to face, it's hard. It is freaking hard. This is why if you approach it with an ad hoc attitude and you don't understand systemization and you really just think, oh, management, no, that's bullshit. Max doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm telling you, this game will punch you in the mouth and it will knock you clean out. The end. It's not going to be nice to you. Clients want what they want. Subs want what they want. Suppliers are brutally demanding. Employees, they want what they want. Like, nobody gives a shit about your feelings, bro, or bro-s, whatever the case is. And you know what? That's not for us to stand there and get defensive about that and go, well, they're all assholes. I'm just saying that if you understand where it's at, if you manage better and you communicate better, then what you do is you lower the intensity of that challenge. But if you don't manage and you don't communicate, all hell will break loose in your life, in your business life particularly. Now, I'm not a marriage counselor. I've been married for a little while. But I would say that, lack of communication in marriage will create an explosion eventually, right? And so these are just human things that we're dealing with. And ultimately, when I'm talking to new operators, in Smith & Sons, really the business that we are in, it consists of science and psychology. We have to be clinically accurate with our estimations and our communications. And then we got to understand that we're dealing with an emotional homeowner for the most part. Now, if you do commercial or you do something else outside of residential dealing with end users or homeowners, then your situation could be different. But we're dealing with, emotional homeowners, and it can be a challenge all the time, actually. When the going's good, it's great. But I'm telling you, when something upsets the client and it creates a psychological instability, you've got to work really hard to not go, it's not my fault, or that's not my problem, or I did my best, or whatever. The minute you start deflecting the responsibility, the client actually gets their back up more and they start to distrust you. So if you like, in our system, we work hard at building rapport and trust, and we develop that over time. And something as frivolous as that comment can actually start really demolishing the trust that client had in you. So, I think we talk about management, we talk about managing our emotions. When our emotions go up, our ability to make good decisions goes down. Think about that. Whenever you've done something stupid and later you're like, I don't know why I did that. I'll tell you why you did that. Is because your emotions were up and your ability to make good decisions went down. And so I think, managing our emotions, managing our finances, managing human resource, it really then loses that cliche that it's general management. I think what we want to do is compartmentalize our business, look at the humans that are active in those compartments or in those departments, and then learn to really be a chameleon and flex in and out of each of those departments and give them what they want without compromising your position. So, for us in sales, we talk about give value, and then ask for the business. We do that for a reason, because old school sales is go in there, back them into a corner, give them the features and benefits, and then close them. In this day and age, it just doesn't work. It does not work, period. And so we've got to take a different angle. We've got to not just be another tree in the forest, but we've got to, as part of our sales management role is to understand the science and the psychology around our sales process. And so, management is an art form. It is systemized in its approach and it needs to be improved all the time. I think that you can go out there and you can implement a system. I've been selling franchises in Canada now. This will be my 5th year. And I am doing it dramatically different to, in 2022 than what I was doing in 2018. Hands down, no question. because all the way through, I inherently always knew that there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a more efficient way. There's got to be a more expeditious way. Got to understand the rules of engagement as it relates to franchise law in Canada. Where can I maximize, my efforts to ensure that we get deals, with on a shorter timeline, perhaps. So, you in your situation, you have to manage the systems as well. So here we go. There's another one. So everything you look around, someone has to do it for you, or you've got to do it. So when you get into a franchise organization like Smith & Sons, a lot of that infrastructure has already been set up. Your attention will be drawn to that. You will understand that you're a custodian or a steward of the systems within the business. Everything from sales management to construction management to financial management to human resource management to business management. So all of those things become something that you've got to look after. Now, in my business here at corporate, I've got franchise sales, I've got admin, I've got finance admin, I've got creative. They're all heads of their departments, and we collaborate, and I get reports off of each of those departments because I cannot have my head in all of those departments and do it well. So here we go. Human resource management, system management, all then is supported by financial management. What are our forecasts? How are we doing for sales? Are we hitting our KPIs? What are our targets? Are we going to hit those milestones each quarter, each month? This is the management, guys and gals. So going back to the point we made about the conversation that I had with a few of the guys and gals on TikTok, you cannot do it on your own. And that's not a cliche term. You physically and emotionally and mentally cannot keep your fingers in enough holes to understand what's going on to be effective and to develop the business. So what you probably need to understand first is how am I as a leader? And I think we've got to manage our own emotions and our own leadership capabilities and we've got to have that desire to learn and develop more as a leader. So, they're the areas of management. So, both management and communication come down to education and capacity. So, I've got to educate myself around management systems, and I've got to be very, very aware of my capacity. So your capacity limits your ability to be an effective leader. So what you've got to do is you've got to enlarge your capacity. And that comes over time, and that's through experiences and being aware of where you made errors and mistakes and things like that. So as your capacity grows, your ability to manage increases, whether it's financial management, project management, human resource management, even your own emotional management. Something for me being a fairly high-strung A-type personality, having a very short fuse, I have to talk to myself all the time about regulate. That's my word. I'm driving down the road. Regulate. Because what you can do is as that emotion increases, your ability to make good decisions goes down, and you probably will find yourself making some really bad decisions off the cuff or, shooting from the hip, which you will regret later on. And I have absolutely done that on more than one occasion. And so, as I've got older, it's not just the fact that there's an aging process that takes place. It's through experience, and it's through analyzing and assessment and taking responsibility and then improvement. That's what we would do. And so, that's why it's all around educating, understanding, and then allowing time to improve your capacity or increase your capacity. And so, there's no magic to this. There's no witchcraft and sorcery. This is all about doing your time, but doing it very diligently and being a very good student of the business. That really enhances your ability to develop as a business leader and a business developer. So, of course, I've been going for way too long. I'm not even going to break into communication. I'm going to call it a day, let you guys and gals get on with your day. I really appreciate your time and your ear. Look, if you want to contact me and you've got the quick questions, and I will do my best to get back to you. I get back to everyone at this point. I'm able to do that, working 28 hours a day, 9 days a week. Look, send me an email at max@businessforbuilders. That link, that email will be in the bio. And of course, check out our TikTok. And look, I really appreciate you hanging with me, and look forward to hearing some stories if you got them, some comments, or even some questions via email. Go build a kick-ass business. See you on the next episode. Cheers.